And they feared greatly because Gibeon was a great city, one of the royal cities, even greater than Ah. And all the men there was mighty, but they made peace with them. So they went and got help from other countries in the land and stuff, and they wanted to go smite Gibeon, for it made peace with Joshua and the children of Israel. There was 5 kings of the Amorites: the king of Jerusalem, Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon. So they gathered together and they encamped and made war. And the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua and telling him, "They slack knock your hand from thy servant to come up quickly to save us and help us from the king of the Amorites." So they went up there, and the Lord told Joshua, "Fear not, for I have delivered to your hand. There shall not a man stand before thee." So they come up suddenly and discomfort them, and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way. The 5 kings hid in the cave, and they got them out, and the men stepped on their neck, and Joshua killed them and put their dead carcasses back in there and put the lid over it. They're there to this day. Is that the part? So then they went basically to all the cities and took it. So then the northern Canaanites, which is in the mountains, they went out, and all their hosts with them in chariots, many. They went out as the sands of the sea in multitude. Lord told him, "Be not afraid, for tomorrow about this time I'll deliver them all up slain before Israel." So then they went and fell upon them, killed them, chased them away, kept all going. Then took those cities. Then Joshua took all the lands, the hills, and all the south country, the land of Goshen. And there was not a city that made peace with Israel, save the Hivites and the inhabitants of Gibeon. All others they took in battle. And get this, for it was the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord commanded Moses. So the Lord hardened their hearts to make them come after Israel. But the Hivites, for some reason, God didn't harden their hearts, but they tricked them so they could live. At that time, he cut off the Anakims from the mountains. There was not an Anakim left except for in Gaza and Gath and Ashdod. There remained. The Anakims are the giant people, the giants, mighty, huge. And then it goes on and says all the kings which he did smote. One thing I did miss, I want to bring this up, was in chapter 10. The time whenever the kings heard that they made Gibeon, peace with Gibeon and all that, they came down and whatever in Gibeon, and he killed them. And when the kings fled, but he said in the sight of Israel, Joshua did, "Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and the moon in the valley of Ajalon." And the sun and moon stayed until the people avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down but a whole day. And there is no day like that, before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Now, it's a mystery to me what the book of Jasher is. And then Joshua just said it. And the Lord listened to him and did it. See, the thing was, God would tell them to do stuff to perform through them, but they had to obey him. And Joshua just out of the blue said, "Sun, stand still." And it stood still. It's amazing. God's power is unreal. So then, say it names the kings. They was all killed in all the cities. Then Joshua was getting old, stricken in years, and the Lord told him, "Thou art old and stricken in years, therefore, and there remaineth yet very much land to be possessed." And then he tells him the lands that remain, which is the land of the Philistines, Yeshuri, and then on down the southern parts, which was never conquered, which it may have been in certain later on, but and it says on the land it wasn't conquered yet. And then it goes to the division of Transjordan, which was the Gadites, Reubenites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and it divides that land of their inheritance. And then it does the division of the land of Canaan, which was there on the other side, which is the other half-tribe of Manasseh and the rest of the tribes. Like I say, if you go to my Facebook page and look at the Bible through the eyes of a sinner, I've got a map picture of my photos that shows the divisions of the land of what it could have been like. And then it goes on down and gives Caleb his inheritance, and the tribe of Judah their inheritance. And it says which cities all Judah gets, which Judah gets a larger portion because there's more people from the tribe of Judah and it's a larger tribe. Then you got the inheritance for Ephraim, the inheritance for the half-tribe of Manasseh, and it says all the land, the cities for those tribes. And they survey the remaining land. They give the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Simeon, the tribe of Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, Dan, and then you got the special inheritance for Joshua. And then you got the cities of refuge, which is for the Levites and for the slayer to flee until they're judged. You got the cities of the Levites for their tabernacles and stuff like that, and their sanctuaries to where they did their offerings, and for certain cities where people could go to the congregation of the Lord. So then the 2.5 tribes leave to go back to cross Jordan from their battles. And they's telling them, cling to the Lord and all this, and to give their little farewell speech to being close to God. And then the children of Reuben and Gad and half-tribe of Manasseh built an altar there. So the congregation heard that they was going to go make war with them and kill them because they thought they was already committing idolatry and serving another god. And they came, and Phinehas, the priest's son, basically they ran after him and said, "Well, didn't Achan cause us all to mess up? What have y'all done? Y'all going to have us all killed. The country will come after us." And they told him, it's a reminder. It's a memorial. It's not an altar for sacrifice and all that. It's a memorial because of, to show our children we're a part of the Israel, even though we're on the other side of the river, but we're still a part, and and all that. For a memory for the children to share with. So it pleased the children of Israel, and the children of Israel blessed God, and so then they made peace and then went on their way. It basically was a witness. So Joshua waxed old and was stricken in age, and he called all Israel together, and he talked to them, your land's divided. Be courageous, do it's all written in the book of the law of Moses. Don't turn aside to the left or to the right. Don't come among the nations that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them or bow yourself to them. But cleave to the Lord as you've done to this day. For the Lord hath driven out from before you great nations and strong. But as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you to this day. One man of you shall chase 1,000, for the Lord your God, he it is that fighteth for you, as he has promised you. It says to love the Lord. And if they go aside and cleave to the remnant of the nations around them, and make marriage with them, and they go to you, and he says, know certainly that the Lord will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they'll be a snare to you, and traps, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from off this good land which the Lord given you. Basically, the reason he didn't want to make marriage with them and make leaves because at first it was commanded not to, but then because they would turn to other gods. Because he says, all the good things which come upon you, which the Lord has promised you, he'll also bring evil things upon you, destroy you from this land, when you transgress the covenant of the Lord your God. And they'll perish quickly from off the good land which he gave them. See, a lot of people think God is for peace and all that, but we turn from him, he gets angry. And, he'll bring good upon people, but he also brings bad upon people. So he gathered all the congregation and told them that your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood, and they served other gods. And he took Abraham through all the land and multiplied his seed, gave Isaac Jacob and Esau. Esau has Mount Seir for a possession, but Jacob and his children went down to Egypt. And he basically tell them, God plagued Egypt, used Moses and Aaron and plagued Egypt, and brought them out of Egypt, and split the Red Sea, just tell them what all happened, and tell them about the journey, where they're at now and how they got there. He tells them to serve the Lord in sincerity and in truth, and put away gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. If it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Now you hear that verse, you're like, yeah, that's a good verse, I like it. But then after seeing their journey that they went through, and what they've endured, how God has took care of them and delivered them and protected them, that's a strong verse. He was with Joshua, he led Joshua, he guided him, and they got the job done because Joshua wholly followed the Lord. But then the people's like, God forbid that we'll forsake the Lord and serve other gods. He brought us out of the land of Egypt and from bondage and all this, and did those signs and wonders in our sights. It preserved us. Then Joshua told them, ye cannot serve the Lord, for he is an holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. If ye forsake the Lord and serve strange gods, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you after that he hath done you good. And the people again said, nah, we'll serve the Lord. So Joshua told them, it's a witness, you are a witness against yourselves that ye have chosen you the Lord to serve him. And they say, we're a witness. So they're supposed to incline their hearts to the God of Israel. And they kept saying, we'll serve him, we'll obey his voice. So he made a covenant with the people that day and set a statute up for an ordinance. And Joshua wrote the book of the law of God on a great stone and set it up under an oak that was by the sanctuary of the Lord. And a stone was a witness for them, lest they deny their God. So Joshua let them depart to their inheritance. And it came to pass that Joshua the son of Nun, being 110 years old, died. They buried him in the border of his inheritance. And Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders that overlived Joshua, which had known all the works of the Lord, which had done in Israel. Now get this. And the bones of Joseph, which the children of Israel brought up out of Egypt, buried they in Shechem, in a parcel of ground which Jacob bought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. And it became an inheritance unto the children of Joseph. And Eleazar the son of Aaron died, and they buried him in a hill that pertained to Phinehas his son, which was given to him Mount Ephraim. Now Joseph told Israel in Egypt that the Lord will visit them again, and when he does, to take him to the land which was promised to his fathers, to take his body with him. And that was in Egypt, and that was like close to 500 years before now, before this time. So that's a prophecy in itself you see fulfilled. About 500 years later, when Joseph told them that God's going to visit them again. So they served the Lord all through the days of the elders that outlived Joshua and all that. So what's going to happen to them now after they made that vow and the people that saw it? They turned from him again. And what I think it is they missed the key point, which was talking to your children, telling them the things that God had done, and keep going, passing it down generation to generation and talking to them. Because people rose up, they didn't know the Lord and didn't know what happened, so they turned and did their own thing. I mean, it's just the thought that got me. So now, Joshua's dead. You got the princes of each tribe, I guess, lead the tribes, and you got Phinehas. Now he is the priest. And that's the book of Joshua.